And we're live. Welcome back to Here's the Deal. We're going to talk about some things that every American needs to see, and it's going to come straight from police body cam video as they conducted their internal affairs predetermination hearing. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I want to make sure that the audio is working. Give me a 5x5. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay? And then we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, that's somebody asked about, Hotlook asked when I'm going to do this Let's Exchange IDs with Travis Hines. Travis Hines, I'm going to nominate him for the most suspicious man in America. The most suspicious man in America award goes to Travis Hines. If you're not familiar with his YouTube channel, it's called Let's Exchange IDs with Travis Hines. Really, really interesting stuff, how this guy just goes everywhere and he gets picked on. Apparently, James Freeman did a video on him today at the, this is dealing with the arrest at Natchitoches Parish Library. If you haven't seen that, it's pretty interesting how they power trip on Travis Hines and completely take away 100% of his freedoms as they confiscate his property for having done nothing wrong. And we see that time and time again. Thanks for the 5x5s, guys. All right. This right here is dealing with the YouTube channel called Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations. The owner of that channel is Jeff Gray. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do so. He does really, really good work. Every time I see an exposure of any kind of police department like this, the first thing I think is injustice committed against one man anywhere is injustice committed against all men everywhere. And injustice was committed against Jeff Gray at the New Smyrna Beach, Florida, by the police department out there. And when this happens to him, this happens to all of us, because these cops think that they have rights that none of the rest of us have, to the point where they're willing to initiate unjust force and violence and the brutality of the state on peaceful people who have literally done nothing wrong. So you've got this going on in the background. This right here is the New Smyrna Beach Police Department Facebook page. And pretty interesting comments under here. I want to show you this video right here, and a lot of you have already seen it. It's already got 120, 130,000 views. If I refresh the page, I'm sure it's going to go up. But this is a video that everybody needs to see. I will leave the link to this video right here and the first interaction video where he actually makes first contact, or rather the officers make first contact with Jeff Gray. This is Officer Galt here on the left, and this is Officer Beatty right here on the right. Officer Beatty is going to be the subject of the internal affairs predetermination hearing that we're going to see right here. But first, I want to show you the initial interaction where the cops arrived on the scene from a 911 call. All Jeff Gray was doing was standing on a public sidewalk saying, "God bless the homeless vets," with the little sign that says, "God bless the homeless vets." He's not soliciting. He's not asking people for money. He's not harassing people. He's just there to bring, the spotlight of, recognition on people who are homeless that happen to have been veterans. That's Jeff Gray's only crime. Here's the first interaction with Officer Galt and Officer Beatty as they interact with Jeff Gray. Check it out.
I'm not showing you anything else. At this point, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and invoking the right to have my attorney present during questions. I'm not answering questions. I'm not giving you ID.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just making sure that you understand that your attorney has nothing to do with us. Okay. Your attorney has to do with court.
Mm-hmm.
That's not us.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're here for you, we have the right during an investigation to identify you.
Okay. I'm not identifying myself.
Okay. So you're going to end up
All
going
right.
to jail.
I told him my name is Jeff, and that's all I'm giving you.
No, if you want to give us your information, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But we still have to
Am I being
identify
detained
you.
at this point?
Yes.
For what?
For the identification of you, which is an investigation that they started.
Okay. I'm not giving any ID.
And that right there would be a crime. Detaining someone against their will, without their consent, with their reason being because you didn't give us your ID. You didn't make yourself insecure in your person, is what they're saying. You didn't help us to violate your Fourth Amendment rights. Let's just be clear about this, guys. You cannot, under natural law and constitutional law, detain somebody, i.e. temporarily take away their freedoms as an American on American soil simply because a person refuses to make themselves insecure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. Just want to make that very, very clear, because this is what the violation is right here. And the violators are cops, Galt, and Beatty. They are attempting to take away the anonymity of Jeff Gray. Anonymity. If you have no anonymity on American soil, this can't be the land of the free, home of the brave. It is consistent with land of the free, home of the slave, if you have to give your ID when a cop tells you you need to identify yourself. This is what's at stake here.
Identification. I would like to remain silent.
Okay. At this point, you're being detained. Okay. So
there's the violation right there.
Do you have anything in your pockets at all?
And there's the sign. God bless the homeless vets, you criminal. When these cops arrive on the scene, and guys, I get it. The brewery called, and I'd like to get the FOIA, like somebody to do a FOIA request on the actual 911 call. Maybe it's already been done. I haven't heard it, but according to these two cops, and you'll hear it in the internal affairs investigation, this cop right here, Beatty, was under the impression that the waitresses inside the brewery on the other side of this public sidewalk right here were feeling threatened. So I get it. I understand why the police responded to this. But at this point, they're violating Jeff Gray's Fourth Amendment right, which means they would violate your Fourth Amendment right and my Fourth Amendment right and everybody in your life that you love. This is how broad this picture gets. And this is why these videos are so important, because if they're going to violate this cameraman's rights, no matter who the cameraman is, just put yourself in Jeff Gray's shoes.
Or
Okay.
anything?
Since you're asking me if I have anything in my pockets, I am armed lawfully. I have a
Okay.
concealed carry permit.
Okay. Where's it at?
Here's my hands. It's in my pocket.
In your front pocket?
Yeah. Here's my hands. All right.
I love how calm Jeff is through this whole thing.
Matter of fact, once you guys just put me in cuffs, I don't want any.
We will.
Since I'm armed, I don't want any problems.
And you sympathize with why Jeff would say this, because it's like, hey, don't get out your nightstick and beat me over the head. Here are my hands right here. Clear for it. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and handcuff me so that you can feel more safe, since I'm so dastardly? To which I would ask, hey, cops, hey, Beatty and Galt, are there no rapes going on in your city? No murders? No thefts that need to be investigated? You really think that you need to spend taxpayer money to interfere with a guy who's just saying, God bless the homeless vets? It's so laughable and disgusting all at the same time.
You're good.
So right now, this is the violation.
I'm not very flexible.
There is a crime in progress, but the criminals are the cops and the victims. And we'll see that in the internal affairs investigation. They admit to doing wrong. They're admitting. And remember, this video right here is for educational and informational purposes only. The only assertions I'm making are the assertions that actually are unearthed during the internal affairs investigation. So, but let's be clear, the crime that's being committed here is being committed by the guys in the costumes, and the victim is the one who's being handcuffed.
And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not going to resist.
You're good. Listen, we're not. I just came to tell you what legally is supposed to happen and what legally will happen. You are allowed your attorney, but your attorney is a court thing. That's not an us thing. All we want to do is identify you so that.
I don't consent to any searches. I don't consent to any seizures.
Well, you're
very important that you make that clear and you verbalize it, maybe even multiple times. I do not consent to any searches. I don't consent to any seizures. I don't consent to you putting your hands in my pockets or making me insecure in my person in any way, shape, or form. Do you understand that? And I've noticed that in a lot of these cases, there are no body cams being worn. So every auditor will tell you, anytime you interact with a person with a costume who's power tripping on his own authority, or whether he looks like he is or not, it's always a good idea to not just have one, but two or multiple, as many cameras as you can have rolling. Always film the police. This is for your protection.
right now I'm making sure you have no knives on you. And then when they write a statement saying that you were breaking the law, just that a knife or no? Is that a knife?
I don't have any knives on me now. There's 2 magazines in my left pocket. Like I said, I don't consent to any searches.
It's fine. You just told me there's magazines to the gun that I just pulled off, so I'm just grabbing those. Just have keys on you.
Officer safety, officer safety. Took his glasses, took his gun, took his magazines, took his sign. He's in handcuffs.
I'm just going with you.
Yep.
Okay, so now they take,
I do for reading.
Okay.
No, sir.
they take him across the street. I'm going to go and fast forward to the interaction by the patrol car.
So, I want to make sure that you understand that you're forcing a hand that doesn't need to be forced. Okay? We're not here to take your gun.
Yeah, Jeff, you understand? You forced the hand that didn't need to be forced. Oh, yeah? How did I do that? Because you had a cardboard sign that said, God bless the homeless vets. You forced the hand, Jeff. You're the forcer in this. We're just the victims.
You'll have it back. Right now, it's mine because we had to detain you. Okay? That's what you pretty much asked us to do. Okay? When you don't want to identify yourself and we're called. So, it's totally different if we're driving by, and that's you over there, right? Mm-hmm. You're not requesting anything on your sign. You're not breaking any laws, okay? Mm-hmm. When they complain to dispatch that you're asking for money, and that there are customers who are telling the staff that is against the law. Mm-hmm. So we're doing an investigation.
But by the way, even though it might be an ordinance or a city or state law or whatever, what is the crime in asking people for money unless you're doing it in a harassing way? Hey, you wouldn't have to have $10 to spare, would you? How is that a crime? All the person has to say is, nope, I don't have $10, and if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. As long as you're not forcing, harming, threatening to harm, you're not committing a crime. So when there's a law that says, hey, you can't panhandle, how is panhandling a crime as long as you're not harassing? As long as all you're doing is asking, hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? That is a law against natural law. This would be a law that would violate the Constitution. This would violate natural law. This would be deprivation of rights under color of law. Do you not have the right on American soil to ask somebody for money and to give them an opportunity to respond? And if they say no, you're just on your way, they're on their way. What's the crime of asking for money? This is why I cannot stand how, if you're a law enforcer, most laws are wicked, cruel, and downright evil and unjust. So when you're a law enforcer, you're an unjust or injustice enforcer. You're an evil enforcer, since most of those laws, and they swear to, see, here's the problem that I have with the conflict that's rolling around in the minds of law enforcers, is they swear to protect and defend the Constitution against the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and they swear to protect and defend the laws of the state. Well, what if they contradict each other? What if there's a conflict? Which law am I supposed to uphold? Well, you know what they do. They uphold the laws that bring in revenue for the state. Those are the two things that laws do. They serve two purposes. Number one, they strip Americans of their rights under color of law. And number two, they pilfer through the pockets of Americans and enrich the coffers of the state. That's all laws do. And a law that's unjust and unconstitutional, according to, Madison versus Marbury, is void. It's declared void according to the founders, but nobody pays attention to them because that doesn't work in the interest of the state. So let's be real clear. It's not criminal activity to ask somebody for something. And if they refuse to give it to you, you haven't committed a crime. If you start harassing somebody, doing something to somebody that you wouldn't want done to yourself or to your loved ones, then now you've crossed the line into criminal activity, trying to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. But panhandling, I'm sorry, I can't agree with any law, ordinance, or statute that says panhandling is against the law because it doesn't violate natural rights.
To see if that actually occurred. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Kev Chat said in the chat, no victim, no crime. If there is no victim, there is no crime. And the state can't declare itself a victim if you disobey their laws.
That's the only reason why you're being detained. But because it's an actual investigation of a complaint, You have to identify yourself. That's
I'm not
state
identifying
statute.
myself.
Okay. Just make sure you're aware of what's going to go down,
I'm not
because you
identifying
won't.
myself.
Now, at this point, a lot of Americans, I know just from seeing comments, a lot of Americans would go, hey, Jeff, why don't you just make it easy on yourself? All they're asking you to do is give them your ID. All they're asking you to do is just divulge who you are. Then you can get out of the cuffs. You can get your magazine, your gun, your sign, your reading glasses back, and you can go be on your way. But the point is, there's a principle that underlies what Jeff and all these other auditors are doing, and that is, I'm not giving away one more of our rights. I'm not giving away any more rights. As a matter of fact, not only am I not giving away and drawing the line right here and taking a principled stand on maintaining and protecting my rights, which is something you're supposed to be doing, but I want the rest of the rights you've taken away from me back. This is the only way we win, is by getting individual rights back and taking a hard stand going, nope, I know this is probably going to cost me. I know this is going to cost me in legal fees and prison time. I know I'm going to be probably temporarily, maybe permanently, I don't know, losing my rights, but this is the hill that I am willing to die on. I am not giving away any more of your rights, my rights. And this goes in reverse. So an injustice against one man anywhere is injustice against all men everywhere. And a man who stands for his rights anywhere is a man who stands for everyone's rights everywhere at all times. So when Jeff Gray is saying, nope, you're not getting my ID, this is him taking a stand not only for his rights, but for the rights of every single, let's just call it freedoms, the liberties of every, not only American, but every human being on the planet. And that is commendable. That is walking according to principle. That right there is integrity. But you know why? Because you're going against the fangs of the state. They want to put their talons in you. They want to take away your freedoms. They want to suck your time and laboring energies away from you. They want to extract your wealth because they say that you broke their law and therefore we've been victimized and you're the criminal. But when somebody stands against the monstrous state like that, how can it be anything but commendable?
I'd like to remain silent. I'd like to have my attorney present. I'm not answering further questions.
Okay.
I will advise you guys that you're in violation of my civil rights.
I love it.
Absolutely not.
I ask you to cautiously proceed from this point forward. Okay?
Okay.
You've been put on notice.
We're not. I'm going to go find out what their complaint is.
They just want him to go on.
Okay.
They don't want him to come.
So we'll discuss that further with them. If you were asking for money, you can't do that, okay?
I'm not answering questions. All right.
No, I'm just informing you of the city ordinances, okay? Public sidewalk, you're right, but you can't ask it for money. It's panhandling, okay? So I'm gonna go ask that. So.
Okay, so they've already asked the business owner. They've already asked the guy who's sitting outside on the bench, minding his own business, kind of taking a look around. They already verified that Jeff Gray was not only not engaged in any criminal activity, he wasn't violating any laws of the state. And therefore, this detention was unwarranted and unlawful. Guys, stay tuned, though, because this action against Jeff Gray goes under the spotlight of the Internal Affairs Predetermination hearing, specifically dealing with Officer Beatty. And that's what I want to get to. The whole reason I wanted to do this video right here, and have been wanting to do it since Jeff Gray released it a couple days ago, is because you have to see how the inner working of the police law enforcer mind is at work against every single member of the public while they continue to claim that they're public servants when they act like public masters.
Yeah, your sign doesn't say anything about me.
Back says the same thing.
I just asked the guy who's sitting on the law porch, and he says he didn't hear you beg for money. And so the only person who has a complaint about you standing on city property, which is not his problem, which is what I was explaining to him.
I just wanted to stand there on the sidewalk.
That's what I was trying to just tell you. We just gotta figure out what was going on.
10-4. So you have the right to be on the sidewalks, and You have a CCW. You have the right to carry it. I would just suggest that you don't. I don't know that you're asking for money or anything. I don't know if you're needing the money or what. I don't know. But that's not.
You know what? It doesn't matter. What this cop should actually say is, hey, you know what? I am tuned into natural law here. And if you were actually asking somebody for money and you weren't harassing them, I don't have a problem with that. I know our laws, ordinances, and codes actually say that it's against the law. I don't have a problem with that. And there's no way that I would take away your freedoms because you were asking somebody for money, but just letting them say yes or no. That's what the cop should say. But he's not going to say that because he's there to be an agent of the state, not to be a public servant.
Up to them to decide whether you can stand there or not.
So you just don't go in their store. That's what I was trying to get across.
Does he like trespass me from the property, or?
He can. So if you look at Jason's corner, they've got that big awning. That's where the restaurant's property line is. Mm-hmm. It's legitimately a seam in the concrete. Mm-hmm. So on this side, on our side of it, is the city sidewalk, which is evident by the crosswalk.
Do you guys have business cards or anything?
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Okay.
So they called. They said that you were begging for money. After the investigation, that's not true. That's what they told dispatch. But the only person who's been sitting out there the whole time is the guy that's sitting by the bench. And he said he never heard you say that. So that's exactly why we did.
Okay. So pretty good?
Yes. All right.
All right, I must keep recording until I get back to my car. Wow. Come on, guys. Really? Can do better than that.
Yep, you can do way better than that. Now, before we go to the internal affairs investigation that was recorded by the New Smyrna Police Department, New Smyrna Beach Police Department, I want to remind everybody who might be familiar or unfamiliar with 18 U.S.C. 242. This is a federal code, guys. It's called deprivation of rights under color of law. And it says whoever, under the color of any law, statute. In other words, we're coming over here because you broke the law, under color of any law, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunity secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. These are two contradictory pieces of legislation and documentation here. But it goes on to say anybody who's in violation of that, anybody, a judge, yep, a politician, a lawyer, a law enforcer, yes, whoever under the color of any law. And may I add, specifically or especially anybody who comes as a law enforcer, whoever under the color of any law deprives anybody of any rights, privileges, or immunities gets subject to imprisonment or fine for a term of years or both. And I won't say this right here on a live stream, but may be sentenced to, you know what? That's 18 U.S.C. 242. And this right here, this D word, is how serious it is to actually transgress against somebody's rights and take away their freedoms. That's how serious it is. And that leads us to this internal affairs investigation right here. And we're going to watch it from beginning to end. I don't know. I may interrupt here. Yeah, actually, I am going to interrupt because there are things here that we need to take a strong look at, because this lays bare the mentality of law enforcers toward members of the public that they claim to be serving. Listen to this mentality right here, because what they say from the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever is coming out of these cops' mouth, and I think the guy in the blue shirt right here is like a union representative, but he's speaking on behalf of Officer Beatty right here during this predetermination hearing. But whatever comes out of your mouth had to spring forth from your heart. This is what these guys are thinking. This is what is in their heart. This is how they view all of us, not just Jeff Gray. That's why I wanted so badly to do this live stream, because this highlights something that every human being on this earth needs to see. Watch this.
Okay. Today's date is January 19th, 2020. 2022. The time is approximately 2:29 p.m. 246.
So just to clarify, this is Officer Beatty, the guy that just violated Jeff Gray's rights, along with his fellow officer Galt. And this guy in the blue shirt right here, you can kind of see his sleeve right there. He's some kind of union representative, but in some form or fashion, he's representing or speaking on behalf of and in favor of Officer Beatty. And here's the proceeding.
Park Avenue in New Smyrna Beach. This is a predetermination hearing under IA 2021-006. Present is myself, Chief Coffin, Lieutenant Mark Severance, Officer Christopher Beatty, and Greg Cook. Greg, what is your official title with IUPA?
Business agent.
Business agent. I can't get that right. Okay, so the purpose of this predetermination hearing is to give you, Officer Beatty, a chance to provide any information that I may not have in order to make a decision, or to give me any information that you feel is important. Have you been provided with all the documents for the IA?
I have.
Had a chance to review them?
I have.
You understand that this meeting is being recorded?
I do.
And do you have any issue with that?
No.
Okay. So if you've been provided with all documents, you've seen that the investigating officer has sustained the violation, Group 2, Section M, violating the rules, orders, policies issued and adopted by the City Commission, City Manager, Department Head. Specifically, PPD 15-2, Section 15-2, 17, investigative detentions.
Right.
Okay, floor is yours.
Hindsight, I should have investigated much deeper than I did before detaining him. So I already told Lieutenant Severance that I understand that I'm in violation of that. When during the call, I was under the impression that the way he made it sound that he was actually on private property and trespassed, that he was asked to leave, and that his waitresses were scared. So
If that's true, that would be a valid reason for anybody. You don't have to have sworn on a Bible to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Anybody, not just somebody who's uniformed or an agent of the state, anybody would be authorized to help a business owner out who was having trouble with a guy who was threatening waitresses, causing a disturbance in the establishment. Anybody, even including anybody who's in that restaurant. It doesn't have to be these special thin blue line gang representatives. So that would be a legitimate reason to answer a call to go on behalf of the business owner and quell the uprising.
after investigating that, I found out there was nothing, and unhandcuffed him and made him write and told me he was free to go. I felt that I did it in a professional manner, and obviously was unaware that he was who he was. Not that that matters, but, you know, looking back, hindsight, you know, I could have investigated with Galt standing there further, or had the information that Galt had. Either way.
Okay. Anything more?
No, sir.
Now, here's where we get into the internal workings of the law enforcement mind that is completely contradictory to the principles of individual liberty. Listen to this. This is going to come from the guy in the blue shirt.
Yeah, so that's fun looking at it.
This is kind of a, he was baiting.
No question.
No question about, and
He, being Jeff Gray, was baiting. He was baiting us. Baiting, let me just get this straight. Baiting the cops by exercising a constitutionally protected right that the cops swore to protect, defend, and uphold. How is that baiting? Baiting you into doing something right? That's not typically when you think of baiting, you think of baiting somebody into doing something wrong. Jeff Gray, you know what Jeff Gray wants? Jeff Gray wants what you want, and what I want is these cops to just obey their oath. That's why he has his YouTube channel, Honor Your Oath, Civil Rights Investigations. All you got to do, guys, is honor your oath. Specifically, and I'm not picky, just the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth, the 10th. Just honor your oath to those right there. How about just the first, second, fourth, and fifth? How about that? That's all you got to do. That's all you got to memorize. But these people probably don't know what the 5 line items, important line items for the First Amendment is. And we know that long ago, they completely eschewed the Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If you are out there enforcing a background check, you've already violated your oath to the Second Amendment. And that's the bottom of the barrel right there, because a background check is an infringement check. It's an opportunity for the state to infringe on your rights, to peer into your background, to see if they think that you're worthy to have a permit to do something that you have a perfect right as a human being to do anyway, and that is defend yourself by any means necessary with whatever tool you want in your tool shed. So what he just said was he was baiting, no question, end quote. He was baiting us into giving you the opportunity to do the right thing. That's what he was baiting you into doing. Usually when you think about baiting, you're baiting somebody into doing something wrong.
He baited him, and he's admitted to making some mistakes there. Don't think it was intentional. Didn't go in there to intentionally. It wasn't
making some mistakes. Taking away an individual's freedoms on American soil when you swore to protect their freedoms is not a mistake. Running over your kid's bike while backing out of the driveway, that's a mistake. Forgetting to carry the one while calculating that math equation, that's a mistake. Intentionally taking away somebody's rights when they've clearly, and this guy admitted, this Beatty guy, he admitted on the street, you haven't committed a crime. You haven't even violated one of our city codes. You're standing on a public sidewalk. Everything's fine. But you decided to take away his rights anyway. That's what a detention is. Detention, arrest, these are all synonymous terms, guys. The bottom line is Jeff Gray's rights were taken away. That is not a mistake. That is intentional. That's an intentionally committed crime on behalf of law enforcers. And they admit it. They admit they made the mistake, but they're just downplaying it as a mistake when it's really perpetration of a crime. Does the bank robber say, I made a mistake. I mistakenly robbed that bank? No, you committed a crime. Does the carjacker say, I took a car that wasn't mine. It was a mistake. No, you intended to do it. It was intentional. These aren't just mistakes. Oh, the brick just flew out of my hand and I broke that private business owner's window. I made a mistake. No, you intentionally destroyed somebody's property and then you ran away because you knew what you did was wrong. Those are not mistakes. Those are intentional criminal activities. And that's exactly what they said. But they were saying they're downplaying their crime as a mistake. No, this isn't a mistake. This is intentional, willful commission of a crime as you do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. But that's what their mentality is, and that's what I wanted to show you and highlight in this video, is that's their mentality. They haven't learned anything from this. And they even say later on in this video that this is an opportunity for us to learn from it, and they learn nothing.
For lack of a better term, pissing off the police thing or anything like that. I watched the video. My opinion, I didn't think it was that bad. I think the guy had a minimal detention. He wasn't thrown to the ground. He wasn't tased.
We took away his rights. We took away 100% of his rights. We pilfered through his pockets. We stole his property temporarily. Hey, this could have been a whole lot worse. He wasn't thrown to the ground. He wasn't tased and abused by the brutality of the state. That is a low bar, Mr. Blue Shirt. That is a low criminal bar. In other words, it's almost like he's saying, hey, Jeff Gray should count his lucky stars that we didn't throw him to the ground, crack his head. Well, I'm not going to say that because it's live stream, but, generally abuse the man and tase him like Johnny Wheatcroft was tased how many times in front of his children?
Was it did the violation occur? Yeah, he did procedurally, but he also didn't go into it looking to do that. It was a mistake, and I think all of us sitting here have been police officers. I think mistakes have been made in all of our careers, and especially with this, this guy was probably, in my opinion, doing stuff that would elicit the very.
Al Can says they didn't murder him. There is that.
call that came into to dispatch that he wanted in order to create the confusion. He's not new to this, and I think that should be given some consideration. And he walked blindly right into it. Both of the officers.
You know why I don't buy into that. He walked blindly into that. This commanding officer right here, or he appears to be a commanding officer, is going, hey, like 17 minutes before that, he tried to bait me into doing the right thing. Can you imagine? Jeff Gray's out there trying to bait this New Smyrna Police Department into doing the right thing. Oh man, he tried to bait us. It was this gotcha moment, because that's what his YouTube channel's all about, into baiting the cops. See, they look at it the wrong way. They feel like it's baiting them into doing wrong. Well, guess what? If your mindset when you arrive on the scene is being highly sensitized to protecting human life and human rights, you're probably never going to go wrong with that. Yeah. Does that mean that there aren't going to be some mistakes that are made, some missteps along the way? No, but if you're highly sensitized to the fact that, hey, above any and all things, I am going to protect, defend, and completely secure the freedoms of this man standing before me, the chances of you going off the rails after that is it's zero.
I have seen this same group go out there and fly or act like they're flying whatever those drones and looking up, and the officers out there telling them there's no drone. They're just out there baiting the officer. So, I hope that you guys give that the due consideration, and to speak to his professionalism.
Here we
I
go.
actually, once I found out about it, went onto the website, and he's followed around and he's cussed at and he's belittled, and I think that speaks to his professionalism, and that he didn't, he made a mistake, and he's letting this guy voice his his constitutional freedom of speech, and
professionalism is irrelevant. Imagine this. Imagine you are that bank robber, or imagine that you're that shoplifter and your lawyer comes along and goes, but Your Honor, yeah, he stole $2,000 worth of clothes, but he was so professional when he did it. How is that relevant? How is it relevant how professional and courteous and just nice the shoplifter was? Yes, I know he stole that car, Your Honor, but he left a little note. He went over the top. He went above and beyond, Your Honor, to be nice and to be professional. Nobody was hurt in the entire situation. Nobody was thrown to the ground. Nobody was dragged out of their car. He did it in a nice, polite, professional, and courteous way. The judge would be like, why are you making that argument? You got to be kidding. He still shoplifted. He still carjacked. He still committed that crime. Who cares if it was done in a professional manner? This is completely irrelevant, and it's another attempt to throw up yet another smokescreen to get them out of admitting that they committed a crime against somebody that they should have secured the rights instead of taking rights away.
And he doesn't get derogatory. He doesn't do anything. He takes it. He gets in his car. He does his job. I think as a whole, if you look at it as a whole, I think, yes, it was a mistake. It was not an intentional mistake. They got you. And
Oops, it wasn't intentional. I accidentally took your rights away from you. Oops, I accidentally took your firearm off of you. Now you're unprotected. Think about that. That's another issue right there. Why do people carry firearms? People carry firearms not just because it's a shield or a sword, but it's a sword and a shield. It's there to protect life, not to take life. It's there to use as a tool if you need it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But when they stripped Jeff Gray of his firearm, they took away his ability to defend himself or anybody in his zone of influence. So if the cops got attacked while Jeff Gray is handcuffed, unable to do anything to defend himself because now he doesn't have his tool or he doesn't have access to it because his hands are tied behind his back. What happens if there's a drive-by? He can't defend himself. He can't defend these officers. They took away something fundamental, and they did it intentionally, not mistakenly. And that's the point. That's the takeaway of this video right here. While they're going to sit here and continue to downplay that something that was a crime that was horrific, and that's how we need to view the crime that was horrific. Well, like he said, they didn't throw him to the ground or tase him or abuse him in any way. They were very professional when they took away his rights. That's the way these cops want you to think. They want you to take just the bare bones. They want your bar to be set real low like, so that they can step over it and they can pass muster every single time. What we need to be doing is going, guess what? The bar is here. I want it to be way up here. I want everybody to be sensitized to the fact that it is a heinous crime for anybody, anywhere, at any time to have their rights trampled. Because that's how body counts pile up. That's how bank accounts are drained by the IRS and the Federal Reserve. Because people are sensitized to, oh, hey, the two sure things in life are death and taxes. Oh, really? Basically, what you're saying is the two sure things in life that we can just count on and nobody needs to resist it because this is just a fact of life is that you're going to be extorted by armed agents. Every year, if you don't cross your T's and dot your I's and fill out that form, they reserve for themselves the right to have armed agents of the state come to your door and take you away to a cage because you didn't let them extort you. Death and taxes, man. That's what they're trying to do, is brainwash all of us to go, well, they didn't throw them to the ground. What's the big deal? It is a huge deal, but they don't want you to look at it like that.
And I think that we shouldn't, my personal opinion is all these officers out here, there's going to be a mistake, and to have hammer them with the discipline when in a situation like this for a group that is coming after the officers to elicit this very kind of reaction and kind of tricking them in that kind of action. I think that
let's just pause there. At 5:25 in this video, he says that Jeff Gray was coming after the officers to elicit this very kind of reaction, ... tricking them. What kind of reaction was elicited? Oh, it was a criminal action on the part of the badged law enforcers. So Jeff Gray, minding his own business, God bless the homeless vets, is coming after the officers. Imagine that. Can anything be more innocuous than a guy with a cardboard sign, homemade sign, scrawled writing, God bless the homeless vets equals coming after law enforcement? As though he's committing some kind of criminal act, as though he's some kind of terrorist infidel. Amazing, man. This is the way they think. And this is during an internal affairs predetermined hearing investigation on this guy's criminal activity. And this is still the way they think. They've learned nothing. Nothing. It's infuriating. Jeff Gray's coming after the officers to elicit this very kind of criminal response by law enforcement, tricking them. We'll listen to what this guy has to say here in a second.
Hope that gets looked at as in the totality of determining what kind of discipline to issue.
Can you imagine that? Your Honor, what I'm telling you is I walked into that store and they tricked me into stealing their clothing off the clothing rack. They tricked me into stealing those fancy looking shoes off the wall. I'm telling you, officer, when I saw that SC430, that Lexus SC430 parked in that driveway, I just feel like the homeowner was tricking me into eliciting this very kind of reaction. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Your Honor, when I walked in that bank and I saw that guy in front of me he was being counted, all those hundreds, I just felt like the bank was coming after me, man. And they were trying to elicit the response, my criminal response that ensued after I found out, I want that money for myself. I want that car for myself. I want those shoes on my feet. They tricked me into eliciting my criminal response. That's what these guys are saying.
I really do. And I've ran into this group. I've been a victim of this group before.
I've been a victim. Look, when they commit the criminal activity and they transgress their own oath, they, in their own minds, have become the victim. This is the state going, I've been victimized by a guy with a cardboard sign who was saying, God bless the homeless vets. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the predetermination hearing, Greg. I mean, I look at all the circumstances.
Right.
The factual stuff and the underlying issues that are there. So, I mean, all of that is absolutely looked at. When help define for me what hammered is. I didn't mean that. That's just the way I talk. I don't mean hammered is. I think I would hope that
and this is just my opinion. This isn't
Yeah,
Chris.
this is an open meeting.
Then my opinion is this is a good department issue training. Hey, look, these guys came here. This is what they do. You have to make sure that you understand where the line is, because they're going to go right up to it and they're going to force you to get it. And I think it's a good training opportunity to give to the whole department and make it a learning experience. That's how I see it.
So that's already been.
For them, a learning experience is, how do we not get caught the next time? How can we trample the guy's rights and not have to be here, sitting here doing this internal affairs investigation again? Not, how can we sensitize our officers to the supreme importance of the individual rights of the public that we claim to serve? All they're looking to do is, let's use this as a learning experience so we can circumvent all this nonsense and go out there and commit our atrocities in the name of under the color of law. Just unconscionable, guys. Unconscionable. When I saw this, I'm sitting here going, I don't even know what to say. These guys literally think like this. This is what's coming out of their hearts and their minds. This is why we got problems in law enforcement.
Resolved. We immediately address the training issue, as we do with every incident that we have, whether it involves discipline or it doesn't. If we see that there's some deficiency somewhere, both either on the officer's part
Right.
or as an agency part, we stepped right in right away and provided training for all the officers on this particular issue. I will tell you that
Here we go.
less than a half hour before this, he came and tried to bait me in the commission meeting,
Right.
and I didn't fall into the trap.
He tried to bait me. He was coming after me to elicit a criminal response. I didn't do it, though. I held the line, man. I didn't give him what he wanted with that nefarious sign. God bless the homeless vets. Oh, man, I saw right through that, and I walked the other way. Now, you guys, on the other hand, it elicited a criminal response out of you. What nonsense.
I think that sometimes, I'll choose the right words here. I don't know if officiousness or whatever is
Let me choose the right words. Let me see, how deceptive can I make this? I really got to cover up what I'm really thinking here.
is an issue with officers of, I think that sometimes officers should just take a second and just take a hot minute or a deep breath and say, what is going on here? And when someone challenges us, not take it personally.
Yes.
Not challenging me or you or whatever. They're challenging the uniform and the badge. It's like we just happen to be wearing it, so we shouldn't take personal offense to it.
Right.
I can say I don't ever take it personal. And watching the video, my voice is never raised.
This is not about taking, none of this is about taking something personal. Every bit of this is about a man taking away the freedoms of another man against his will and without his consent. This is about a man violating his very basic oath to protect and defend human rights. This is not about making a mistake. This is about engaging in known criminal activity under the color of law. This is about deprivation of rights under color of law. This is about conspiracy against rights, 18 U.S.C. 241. And deprivation of rights under color of law, 18 U.S.C. 242. This is what this is about. This is not about taking this personal, let the uniform and the badge and the authority of the state, let it take the hit. This isn't about being personal. That's not what any of this is about. This is about you guys engaged in criminal activity on camera for the world to see, and you're still not coming to terms with the fact that you guys brought more criminality into the world. You guys are the conduit through which evil flowed.
It never sounds like I'm backed into a corner. To me, it's not personal. I don't wear this badge. I wear it with honor, but I don't wear it like I'm the police, like some people. I'm going to stay where I'm going to stay, regardless of what you think.
I don't wear this badge like I'm the police, like some people. The implication is some people wear the badge and deprive people of their rights, even though the whole reason for this internal affairs investigation is because I've violated somebody's right. Well, let's go to page 2 on that one.
Okay, so then why the conversation about whether or not someone is entitled to an attorney, and then the response of get an attorney in court, not out here?
Christopher Henderson says in the chat room, why is everybody always picking on me?
Because we don't ever call an attorney to the scene.
And do you think that's the appropriate response, or would it be this is, either, yes, it is a custodial interrogation, or it's not a custodial interrogation, and that determines what an attorney is, as opposed to, you don't get one out here. I'm just asking a question.
I mean, it's not. I've never used that word before. I've been asked that several times, and I just tell them that we don't do attorneys on the side of the road. That's what the court system's for.
Okay.
It's not. You could watch the video. That was not said like with anger or malice. It was just, you don't get one of those out here. You get it in court, but out here we're trying to figure out. We're doing an investigation to figure out what laws were broken and what wasn't, and whether you need to go to jail or not.
Okay. Anything else from either one of you?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Then the time now is approximately 2:38. That'll conclude.
All right, so that's it on this, but please do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Subscribe to, like, James Freeman's in the room. Subscribe to James Freeman. Mass Accountability's in the room. Direct D, DPS, Disorderly Product News. Subscribe to Jeff over at Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations. This is how we learn, and this is how we spread and light brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. Let me go over some super chats real quick right here and maybe read some comments in the comments here. Jay Franklin, somebody else dropped a $5 super chat, and I'm going to the top right here and looking into my viewer activity, and it's not showing me who the first person was that dropped the super chat. If it was you, please let me know. I want to give you a shout out. Jay Franklin says, I hope Jeff filed a lawsuit and wins, because if they would have ended his life, they would have laughed and celebrated. And we've seen that, guys. We've seen the people who were victimized by law enforcers mocked and disrespected by the people who are supposed to be protecting and serving them. There's another live stream that I wanted to do, and it had to do with that Officer Rivera. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But definitely take a second right now. Go to Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations, James Freeman, Mass Accountability, Breaking the Flaws in here, and go to these people and subscribe to their channels. Hit the bell notification icon so that when they produce this content that we all really need to see and learn from, obviously, because the New Smyrna Beach Police Department didn't learn anything from this. As a matter of fact, they've basically doubled down. They've offered excuses for their criminal actions, calling them mistakes, saying that Jeff Gray was the one coming after the officer simply because he was exercising his right as a free moral agent and human being in this world to do something that's not going to harm, threaten to harm, or steal from somebody else. But that's coming after the officers. That's how these guys think. They're like, oh, they've become our enemies. They think we're the enemy. Well, when you act like an enemy, if it talks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, if it waddles like a duck, then it's probably a duck. If it's somebody who's engaged in criminal activity, they're probably a criminal. And I don't care what you want to call it. It's not a mistake when you initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. Let's see. So yeah, Honor Your Oath Criminal Rights Investigations. And then let's see. It was, let's see, there was Mora, and then I think it was Rivera. Yeah, has anybody seen this? I wanted to touch on this, but I got to be real careful how I do this, especially if I do a live stream on it. But, because it's dealing with one specific person that a whole lot of emotions are being poured out for. But it's interesting, this actress or somebody who worked in some stage company or something, said something about how ridiculous it was that the streets were being blocked off for this one officer who lost his life in the course of, responding to a domestic abuse call. But it was kind of interesting. And what's super interesting to me is how many people are how many outlets, CNN, the New York Daily News, the New York Slimes, the Washington Compost Pile, ABC News, NBC, they're all covering this one cop's, funeral procession. And it's kind of interesting to me why this is happening. This kind of stuff happens every day. Why are they pulling out all the stops? Look, you can see this. This New York Post article talks about a sea of blue. Actress fired after ranting about street closures for this detective. Let me pause this. They're talking about, look at this. This is, wow. That is quite a turnout. That's a lot of manpower. Those are a lot of tax dollar resources being spent to conduct this. Look at this. This is just, it's off the hook, man. So I was thinking about doing a live stream on this, but you got to be real careful about how what you say because of, certain restrictions on the old screw tube there. So let me go to the chat room here. See what you guys are saying. Axiom says, the state says you have no rights, only privileges. Renee Bernays, you'll have to talk to mass accountability about that. Kev Chat says, Brian, brother, it's enslavement by fleecing and extorting we the people out of our cash and property. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Can you imagine believing that you have a higher claim over the life and property than others to the point where you think it's okay? Actually, you think it's the moral thing to do to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. And that's how these law enforcers think. That's how politicians think. That's how judges think. They believe they have the moral right to tell you what to do. And if you break their laws and codes and ordinances, then you are rightly punished because they believe that you and I are morally obligated to obey their commands or be, in their minds, rightly punished. That's the problem. That's the greatest superstition, the most dangerous superstition in the world is the statist who actually believes that there's something called government that should be in existence who reserves for themselves to have a higher claim over your life and property than you. Think about it. What if I said, I have a higher claim over your life and property than you do? To the point where I can initiate unjust force and violence on you anytime I want to if I think you violated my commands. Anybody, if somebody else outside law enforcement or politics or the judicial branch, being a judge, Supreme Court justice or whatever, or whoever, if anybody else acted like the state does toward us, people would rightly view that as criminal activity. But for some reason, the blinders go on when there's a badge, a uniform, a gun, and somebody comes with the authority of the state or flashes, hey, I'm from the ATF. Somehow it's okay. And the criminality is seen as legalized because there's this state aspect mixed into it. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. It's insane. Iron Man Metal drops 333. Thanks for the 333 super chat. So many sheeple, my whole family, sad state. Red Pill says these cops were also seen piled together in a subway with no ritualistic shame muzzles on after this event right here. Breaking the Flaw says, I'm going to tell my kids that this is the swine flu. By the way, Breaking the Flaw said the other day, and I've got it up here, Breaking the Flaw, about Crypto 6 and that was the ATF raid, about what's going on in Keene, New Hampshire with the Crypto 6. Basically, you've got these 6 people who may lose their freedoms for the rest of their lives because they just wanted to escape the violence and brutality of the state by engaging in mutually consensual voluntary interactions and transactions. It's called Crypto 6. If you don't know about it, look it up. It is pretty interesting to read about. Mass Accountability says, okay, Renee, I don't follow the government or their rules. It's all about freedom to me. How about you watch a video or two of mine and send me a link to your work? Mass Accountability is doing some really good stuff. Mass Accountability, I really appreciate you out there. Thanks for being in the room too. John Denicola says, Brian, Florida residents are asking out-of-staters to contact Governor DeSantis about constitutional carry in Florida. Florida Tourism Bureau is claiming it would hurt tourism. I wonder what they base that claim on. I don't know if you guys saw, but Ron DeSantis, and I'm not going to play it right here, but if you want to follow me over on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Gab, on BitChute. I think I uploaded here we go. Ron DeSantis said something very interesting. I'm not going to play this video, but basically what he said is we've signed the strongest anti-you-know-what bill in the country, stared down companies who were indulged in BDS. We provided record funding for you-know-what day schools and have had the strongest relationship between Florida and this place right here that we've ever had. That's conflict of interest. That is a conflict of interest for any governor, for any senator, for any congressman, for any president, for any vice president. That's a conflict of interest if you're going to have that kind of relationship with any other country. Conflict of interest. And some would view that as the problem. So, and also there's SB 2006. Let's not forget SB 2006 signed into law by Ron DeSantis. One of the key components of SB 2006 is the state health inspector can, at their own discretion, take away 100% of your freedoms, take you to a quarantine camp, and up to and including force a certain thing that starts with a V inside of you against your will and without your consent. SB 2006 signed into law by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Does that mean I'm pro-Democrat? No, guys, I'm apolitical. I'm a political atheist. There's a person who has the username political atheist. I like that. I'm a political atheist. I'm not a believer in the political process because politics is and has always been the clever and deceptive art of using euphemisms, lies, emotionalism, and fear-mongering in order to dupe average people like you and me into not only accepting but also demanding the chains of their own enslavement, which in my mind, all that equals criminal activity. So I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, but you always hear Republicans, oh yeah, they're pro-gun. Oh really? If they're pro-gun, then why did Donald Trump say, I like take the guns first, due process second? Why did he institute bump stock bans? Why was he for civil asset forfeiture? My governor of my state, Kevin Stitt, signed into law saying that it's against the law and it's considered a crime to record the police during the course of their daily duties. That's Republican, guys. All 77 counties, every one of the counties in my state voted red. That is not a safeguard for freedom, guys. That's not a safeguard for freedom. Going team red or team blue, they've only tapped into your tribal instincts. If you're still for team red and for team blue, you're for team Republican, team Democrat, team elephant, team donkey. It's very silly. It's very brain dead. It leads people down the path of walking away from integrity and embracing criminality, being evil. Actually saying, hey, let's vote for political psychopaths so that our lives will be better. And nobody stops to think, wait a second, how is voting for and supporting and throwing our resources behind a political psychopath going to make things better? It never does. It never will. Why don't we just keep on doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result? No, we're not insane. Both of the same, says Frankie. Freedom is an illusion, folks. And to an extent, Zangari, freedom is an illusion. It really is. If you've ever been to a third world country like Russia or Honduras, somewhere where freedom is not at least given that lip service, you know that there are places that are less free or have less of an illusion of freedom. We got to capitalize on whatever illusory remnants of freedom there are. Get into the minds of the brush fires of freedom I want to set are the brush fires of freedom in the minds of the politicians. I want something, and the law enforcers and the judges. I want them to come in contact with their humanity, at least for a moment. At least so that they can look themselves in the eye and be honest with themselves. Hey, I'm working for the state. The state is that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else. Government is not eloquence. It's not reason. It's force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and fearful master. And then come into enlightenment. And then that brush fire of freedom starts burning, and then they can be on our side. And when I mean our side, I'm just talking about the side of people who just want to be left alone. People who just want to keep 100% of what they worked for, so they can provide for their families and so they can contribute positively to their communities. Am I saying that rules and laws are necessarily wrong? I'm not against rules, guys. I'm against rulers. I'm not, that's what anarchy means. It's anarchon, without rulers. That's all it means. It does not mean mayhem, chaos, blood flowing in the streets, broken windows, shattered glass, burning tires, disarray, chaos. It's not what it means. It just means, hey, I want to be left alone. And every single one of you watching this, no matter what you call yourself, no matter what you label yourself, no matter what banner you walk under, you're all anarchists. In other words, you just want to be left alone to be free. You want to be left alone to buy that personal protection device that's going to help protect you and your family. You want to be left alone to have voluntary, mutual, consensual trades and transactions in your daily life. And you don't want a third party forcing you to do something or forcing you not to do something. Or saying that they're going to penalize you if you step across this arbitrary line like right there. Because that's all laws are. The opinions of politicians backed by the threat of force. It's all arbitrary. All right, guys. Darn, I wanted to get this under an hour, but please take a second right now. There's 512 people in the room and 443 likes. Please hit that like button. It does help a lot in the algorithm. I know this video right here is going to be demonetized, so I appreciate everybody in the chat who contributed to this conversation and who threw me a super chat. If you want to support this channel further, support James Freeman, support Honor Your Oath, Civil Rights Investigations, support Mass Accountability, support Lackluster. All these people are doing a fantastic job. DirectD, DPS, San Joaquin Valley Transparency. They're doing a really, really good job standing on the front lines, fighting for our freedoms. If you want to support this channel, the Patreon, and I'm not with PayPal anymore because they kicked me off their platform, the lousy screwballs. If you want to support, one of the best ways you can support this channel right here is just give this video a like, share it with everybody you know, get the word out, subscribe to all these other channels, hit the bell notification icon. I really appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next live stream, and that next live stream might be coming up in the next day or so. I appreciate you guys. Remember, the price of freedom is and will always be eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people have and will secure their own oppression. Take care. Have a good day. Be safe and stand firm.